as far as the Jets go, when we get out of this Cup series and you're back solely focusing on the Jets on a day-to-day basis, what's the number one? I mean, we've obviously got the expansion draft coming up, but is Andrew Copp, maybe his situation, the thing that will be top of mind and most of the media will be focusing on, considering that in a lot of ways sort of seems like it's the next domino to fall before you have some clarity for the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think Copp and Neil Pionk, right? You'd like to have some clarity of what kind of numbers those guys are going to come in at, and so you know what you're dealing with. We know the cap is not going up. And so, the Jets have to work within the template of that. And I mean, to me, I think the number one issue still has to be, what are they doing about the blue line? I mean, I can tell you as a Winnipegger here with a lot of hockey media, I get asked all the time about Winnipeg's defense and what the Jets are planning to do. And, I wrote a piece the other day about the 2 Cup finalists and maybe what the Jets can learn from them. And I think one thing is pretty clear. You look at the blue lines of both these teams, big, skilled, mean, nasty blue lines. And the Jets need more of that. And if they want to get kind of to that next level. So, I think there's a few things for sure. I mean, we can talk, Stanley or Appleton, like who might they lose in the expansion draft? Yeah, Copp and Pionk, as RFAs, what do their deals look like? Are they bringing any of their UFAs back? Is Matthew Pro or Paul Stastny, Tucker Pullman, are those guys gone for good? But to me, still the number one priority is, what the heck are they doing about the blue line? Whether it's in free agency or a big trade, the Jets have to address that blue line. And right now, of course, the only guys under contract, the regulars, are Josh Morrissey, Dylan DeMello, and Neil Pionk as an RFA. There's a lot of movement that could happen this summer when it comes to their blue line, and I'm very curious to see what it looks like in a few weeks from now.
Yeah, as far as Copp goes, I am quite interested as to see how this plays out. And I'll give Cheveldayoff and the Jets, a tremendous amount of credit for how successful they've been in the past with re-signing their players that,
right.
They've drafted and developed. And we can go down the roster. I mean, everyone knows the examples. I mean, plenty of Winnipeg Jets have gone to that. Many of them did not, though, first go to arbitration with the club coming out of their first deal. And I remember Reem and I had Andrew Copp on the program back at the old station after that. And, I love Andrew Copp for a number of reasons, but his honesty, I mean, there's no BS when he speaks. And he was pretty clear that entire process was not fun to go through. I don't want to say there was a ton of hard feelings afterwards, but it wasn't, put it this way, it wasn't the interview we normally have with the guy that's just signed a new contract. I wonder if that at all plays into this upcoming negotiation, because, man, I mean, he certainly came through on his side of the bargain. I mean, he had a career year, a very important player for the Winnipeg Jets. And I have no doubt that the Winnipeg Jets would like to keep him here long-term. And again, he is a restricted free agent, but I'm very interested to see how this goes. Is he Kurt Overhart guy too?
He is.
Oh,
he is
God.
indeed.
So we're mixing in Kurt as well to the mix.
Kurt overcharged as the saying. So
how do you see this play out?
Let me ask you, Huss, if you're signing Andrew Copp long term, his number has to start with a 4, right?
After the season that he just had, I think so. Yeah. I mean, talking about 4, 5, 6 years for sure.
The Jets just re-upped Adam Lowry for 5 years at 3.25, and to me, I mean, I think Andrew Copp's got to be pushing $4 million a year. I mean, so yeah, he's 26. I mean, if you're looking at a 5-year deal, if you're trying to, maybe something similar with Adam Lowry's deal, like, are you doing a 5-year, $20 million, 5 at 4? Like, can that get it done? I mean, I don't know. And he is arbitration eligible for sure, which if you're the Jets, I mean, I think that has to scare you a little bit. For me?
Round 2.
Well, yeah, exactly. And of course, this would walk him right into, so you risk losing the player, like, is what I'm saying. If he gets an arbitration award here, like, he's as good as gone in my eyes. He probably then says, screw this. These guys fought me twice now on my contract. I'm not staying here beyond, the end of this deal. And I believe it would be a 1-year arbitration award this year. So he'll be gone next year. So, to me, yeah, you have to look at locking Andrew. Andrew Copp is so valuable because of what he brings, the ability to play on your top line, your third line, check, score, leadership qualities that are as good as anybody on the team. And of course, the versatility that he can play center or wing. All of that to me suggests that his number has to be, 4 million plus. How much higher than 4 million? I mean, I'm sure he'd like it a little higher. I'm sure Kurt Overhart would like to go as high as possible. And it's going to be a tough negotiation for sure with a flat salary cap that does not help matters one bit.
Yeah, no, you're bang on that, Mike. Did they have to get this done before the expansion draft about Copp in particular, or do they have to have clarity? And the reason I ask is, to your point, I mean, if they basically say, listen, this offer is not in the ballpark, this is what we want, and it's clear that maybe they could be heading to arbitration again, getting 1 year out of the player, whatever the arbiter says, and then losing as an unrestricted free agent. If they thought that potentially was going to happen, does that change their thinking of protecting players for Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think you'd leave him exposed, even if you thought you weren't going to sign him. I think you'd look at trading him, right? Because you're not going to give him away for nothing. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't have to be resolved, and in fact, I suspect it won't be. For example, if they go the arbitration route, I believe there's zero chance the arbitration hearing is going to be before the expansion draft. It's going to happen after the expansion draft. So the Jets, I would expect, would still use one of those 7 protective forward slots on Andrew Copp, just as they will use one on RFA Neil Pionk if a deal is not done by then. Logan Stanley is also an RFA, and I suspect they're not going to use a protection spot on him unless there's some kind of deal swung. But yeah, I mean, you'd like to have clarity for sure, because again, you want to know, number one, if you're keeping the player, and number two, how much you're paying them and what that leaves you when it comes time to maybe go shopping. I believe July 28th is unrestricted free agency day. So, you'd like to have those issues solved. I don't know that they will, though, because I think these are difficult negotiations. And if recent history is any indication, this could be a long one.
I just have to ask, so you think that Stanley's going to be exposed?
Well, I mean, if they go the 7-3-1 route, they're only able to protect 3 defensemen. And I know there's a lot of talk about exposing Dylan DeMello. Maybe they do expose Dylan DeMello. He's signed for 3 more years at $3 million. I suspect Seattle would love to take a guy like Dylan DeMello. That'd be a nice start, on their blue line. To me, it really comes down to DeMello or Stanley, because they're not going to. I know there's some people that would like Josh Morrissey to be exposed because people think Seattle wouldn't take him. That's not happening, folks. Josh Morrissey's he's going to be protected. He's the assistant captain. He signed a long-term deal here. Yeah, he's had a couple tough years. I think the Jets still very much believe in Josh Morrissey. They're not leaving him exposed to Seattle. So it really comes down to DeMello or pending RFA Logan Stanley. And, to me, I guess I could see it going either way. But, a big part of me suggests that, it tells me that I see Stanley being the one, and the Jets maybe roll the dice and they lose either Stanley or Mason Appleton, on the forward group, because there's a good young forward that they're going to have to leave unprotected as well.
I just still, after the season that he had, what they've put into this player, trading up in the first round, calling their shot, 2 years in junior, 2 years in the American Hockey League. Then we'll see if he's ready. Came in, play the way he did this year. Just after putting that all in, and such a unique package that Logan Stanley has, with his size.
5 years younger than Dylan DeMello, so
absolutely. I mean, all those things play into it. I mean, I can't imagine them, with the option walking away from that. And I guess the other option, and this is an important thing to figure out, and it's sort of like a poker game trying to figure out what your opponent is doing or what they have. If Dylan DeMello's there, but Mason Appleton is also exposed. Right. I mean, to me, I think Appleton and the potential that he has to play in the middle 6 of an NHL team at $900,000 coming in on on a new team, I mean, to me, I kind of think that he might be the most attractive guy, especially, and I guess the other big thing, and we'll be spending a couple of weeks of this before the rosters come out. It's a lot about what's also available. And if there's a ton of defensemen going on, but you don't have, there's a bit more of a scarcity of talented younger players on deals like Appleton, maybe it pushes in that day. But, there will be a real aspect of supply and demand to what is available to Seattle, as well as what other teams want that they might be able to acquire through Seattle after they pick players. And I think I could see the Jets actually adding to their blue line via that route.
No, for sure, Huss. That's a great point. And so Seattle might take a Dylan DeMello, not because they want Dylan DeMello per se, but because they feel they can flip a 28-year-old, good defensive defenseman on a 3 more years at $3 million. They can flip him to another team for another asset, whether it's a pick or something. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, as you say, a poker play going on here that creates this fascinating sort of subplot to it all. And, one thing we do know about Ron Francis is he is a very good poker player. Like he keeps his cards close to the vest. And we may have no clue what he's thinking or what he's doing till the moment that he announces his picks. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating. I believe the protection rosters, the list of protected players and available players, that comes out a couple days before. Seattle then has this window where they can negotiate as well with UFAs. It does create a very intriguing situation. But you're right. I mean, Mason Appleton, maybe if the choice is Appleton versus DeMello, 25-year-old Mason Appleton, as you say, at a really good $900,000, maybe he's the guy that they look at. And the Jets, maybe they can keep then all of those blue liners, Stanley and DeMello, along with Morrissey and Pionk, which would be a good start that they would still very much need to add to in this offseason. But yeah, makes for some good drama down the stretch here for sure.
No doubt about it.